Okay, so let's try this. Let's go on this journey together with a new camera. So we're learning together. So please let me know if the sound isn't good or if the picture is kind of weird or the lighting is weird. It's my first time using a new camera, so I'm hoping it will be much better than when I was shooting on my iPhone. So welcome everyone to my knitting podcast. My name is Jonathan and I live in London, and this is my third episode of another knitting podcast on the internet. And today I have a whole pile of stuff to share with you, something completely new and some other bits that I've been working on that I'm really excited about. And so let's just dive right in, I think is the best thing to do. Let's start with finished objects, and I think the main theme of today's episode will be brioche, because I just completed my very first brioche project. So, this is the Skip Hat by Jared Flood for Brooklyn Tweed. Let me get up. This is it. I will try it on for you and ruin my hair for you because you're worth it. So this is it. If you follow me on Instagram, you will have seen this already. I'm going to turn to the side and hopefully you can kind of see what it looks like. I'll probably pop in some photos as well. So this is it. I am so happy with it, and I am so happy with everything. I don't think there's anything I would even change about this. So let me reverse it, flip it and reverse it and try it out again for you so you can see. And so let's talk about this. It's a bit hot. Will I leave it on? I'll leave it on for a little bit. Okay. So this is knit in Brooklyn Tweed Loft. If you're a long-time viewer of all three episodes, then you'll know that I kind of had planned for this in episode 1. The yarn I'm using is Brooklyn Tweed Loft in the colours Tartan and Pumice. If you watched my first episode, the colour Tartan is also the colour that I made my flax light jumper with, so you might recognise it from that. So I actually used the leftovers from that project to make this hat. The interesting thing about it is that you remember in that episode I talked about when I used it in the jumper how it kind of the structure of the fabric was kind of funny and I didn't know how I felt about it in a jumper. In this hat, in brioche, it is fantastic. And there's also some things in the pattern that account for this yarn, because the recommended yarn for this pattern is the Brooklyn Tweed Loft, because it's a Brooklyn Tweed pattern. So the actual fabric, it's been blocked and everything, is really warm, so I'm not going to leave it on much longer. It's really warm, but it's like structured, so it's quite nice for a hat. I know kind of the shape and form that it has now is the shape and form that it will remain as long as I wear it, so I'm super, super happy with it. Let me pull it off. Let me check my hair. Allow me to be vain. So if I kind of hold it up, you probably can't tell, but the pattern gets you to knit a certain amount and then change your needles to a smaller needle and then knit for another bit. And what that kind of does in this watch cap version is pull in the entire, like a band here, so that when you flip the brim and then put it on your head, it's kind of snug against your head. So it's very clever way of working with this yarn, which, as I said, is kind of more structured and more, there we go, I'll give you a nice close-up of it, and more, it just holds its shape, so it doesn't kind of, it's not as springy as a normal yarn would be, because I believe this is worsted spun or woolen spun. I will find out and I'll write it here in funny letters, because yeah, it just means it's not twisted as much, I believe. He says with confidence. So yeah, so those are the colors, that's the yarn. Let's talk about the technique. So, brioche, you guys, I'm gonna say, if you want to do brioche for the first time, in the round is the way to go, number 1. And number 2, do 2-color brioche. Don't do 1 color, do 2-color. And I will tell you a very good reason why to do 2 colors in a second when I get to one of my works in progress. But one of the good reasons with doing 2 colors is that you can tell better the difference between the brioche, what you need to brioche stitch and what you don't. And you only use one color per round. So it's not like stranded color work where you're carrying two colors at once. You knit with one color, and then when you finish that round, you pick up the other color and knit with that one. So it was an extremely addictive knit for me. I bashed it out in maybe a week, less than a week, because I was just really enjoying it. And it's one of those things, they say if you can knit, purl, yarn over, and knit two together, essentially, you can brioche. So please do not be scared of brioche. I don't know why I was afraid of it. I don't know where that came from through osmosis in the knitting world, that like brioche is this really difficult thing. It really wasn't, and I think this is a perfect project, or like a similar project, like a hat, is such a great way to get started on it. The other technique that I did in this for the first time was the cable cast on, which I did not love, I will say that. It creates, I'll show you what kind of finish it is. They used, you can see along here. So they kind of, I don't know, it's fine. I didn't enjoy doing it, and I don't really know how I feel about the finish. It's fine, it doesn't bother me, but it was fine. And then the other thing I will warn is that when I got to the decreases at the very end, I had to switch to DPNs because it was a very small circumference, and the decreases and the brioche and the DPNs at the very end was pretty challenging, if I'm being honest with you, just to kind of juggle everything. So I honestly don't think it's perfect towards the end, and I think there are like a couple of mistakes somewhere, but overall I'm super happy with it. I'm super happy to wear it when the weather gets colder. But it was such a great way to learn brioche and start with brioche, and it's reversible. It's so cool. I don't think it works as a floppy hat. I think it's a bit too much. Yeah, I don't really like it as a floppy hat. But yeah, so this pattern gives you options for 2-color brioche, single color brioche, kind of like striping as well, a watch cap, a beanie, and there's a third length, like a skull cap. I don't know what they call it. Can't recommend enough. Really I enjoyed the yarn so much more than I did with the flax, and I really enjoyed the pattern. I will say, I think you could be an adventurous beginner, but read the pattern through fully. It's kind of one of those patterns where you kind of like, the stitch pattern is in a different section to kind of the directions. So you do need to figure out how the two connect each other. And I've found some patterns are like that. They do like, you know, tell you what the stitch pattern is, and you plug it into different parts of the directions. So that's something that you should be aware of with this pattern, but can't get enough. As I said in the first episode, I do have 2 other colors picked out in Loft in my stash, and I can definitely see myself making another one. My boyfriend might get this one because he's more of a blue-grey guy, and the other one is kind of a green-cream combination, so I'll probably go with that. But yeah, super happy with this. Really enjoyed the brioche, and yeah, can't get enough. So that's my first and only finished object. My work in progress. We move fittingly to my next work in progress. It is in my Hide and Hammer bag, which we all know and love. It is the number 3, the roll top bag. And this is another pattern that I spoke about in my first episode from issue, what issue are you? Issue 11 of Lane magazine. And this is the Sea Mist. Oh god, I'm saying Sea Mist with confidence when it might be Sea Breeze. Sea Mist, I'm right, it is Sea Mist. So, I finished my brioche hat. I'm feeling confident, I'm feeling excited. I'm like, I got this, I can do brioche now. So I'm going to tackle this amazing shawl by George Cullen, is the name of the designer. So I cast it on, and I've gotten through the first lace section with 1 or 2 mistakes, and then I started the brioche section, and I was like, the mistakes in the lace part aren't too bad, you know, I'm happy to keep going and just be confident and just deal with it and be happy that it looks handmade with its little mistakes. And then I got to the brioche where I was like, I know this now, I know how to do brioche, I got this, no problem. Then the single color brioche, I'm not gonna lie, is more difficult than 2-color brioche in my opinion, because it's harder to kind of tell. And then I promptly made a mistake in the brioche, so now I think I'm going to frog the entire thing. Now I really did not get far, so you can see here. You probably, I don't know if you'll be able to spot the mistake in the brioche, but I don't know what I did, to be honest. It's a strange one and I can't figure it out. I also, because it's brioche, if I was frogging with something else, I would like pick up the stitches and then rip back, but because it's brioche, I don't know how to pick up the stitches that way. And they're like, Jonathan, but just rip back to the lace section and then restart the brioche. Same thing. I don't know how to pick up stitches in lace. And so it's not that much. As you can see, it's like, there's the little lace section with its couple of mistakes, and then this is the brioche section along here. I don't know if you'll be able to see the mistake in it, but I wanted the brioche to be really smooth and nice compared to the lace, which is kind of how the pattern goes. So it's a shame. It was only a couple of hours of knitting. Like, it's not that much knitting considering how much more I have to go with the project. But yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to rip out, so I know where I'm going now. I know what to expect. And so I will feel, it's that thing, you always feel better once you frog something back and restart again, but it's just kind of getting to that point that's difficult. So I'm going to do that, number one, so I get make sure I get my lace correct. And something that, I think it was in a Christy Glass episode, she mentioned about lace repeats, because this is my first time really kind of doing any sort of lace. She mentioned like putting stitch markers between each lace repeat, and it made it so much easier to follow once I did that about halfway through. So I'm going to do that from the start, and that should sort that out. And then yeah, pay more attention in the brioche section, and so I know what's kind of coming. The other thing is that I'm like reading it from a chart. There's written instructions on a chart, and I want to get better at reading from a chart, so I'm going to do that. But yeah, this will be frogged, and hopefully next time you see it, it will be redone and in a better place. And you know, I'm okay with that. I've been very lucky in my knitting career in the last year that I haven't had like huge mistakes that I've had to rip everything back or anything like that. Like, this is the furthest I've gone in any pattern with a mistake that's kind of required me to rip back. So I'm not too sad about it. So it won't be, I'm not losing sleep. But anyway, just for your information, so it's the Sea Mist, it was in Lane. George Cullen is the designer. This is the yarn, so this is the first one, which we would have spoken about before, which is Jamieson and Smith Shetland wool from the Shetland Islands, 2-ply jumper weight, which in my first episode, I had a correction saying it was like 4-ply, and then I was like, no, it's 2-ply. I got confused because it says 2-ply jumper weight and then 4-ply equivalent thickness. So that's why I got confused. And then the other yarn that goes with it is this one, Kid Mohair by Onion. It's Silk and Kid Mohair by Onion Knit. And yeah, this is like a lace weight, I figure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's like a lace weight or close to a lace weight. It doesn't say. It feels lace weight, I'll tell you that much. So these are the two that I'm going to be using. And it's good that the pattern starts with this, so you can kind of get used to, like, it's like a lace brioche, and then you do a couple of repeats, and then you do a 2-color brioche with this, and then you finish with this. So it's kind of the same repeat. So I thought it was quite good to help me learn, because I can kind of learn the repeat with the thicker yarn that I'm more comfortable with, and then once I'm like really confident with the repeat, then the more kind of like the new to me difficult yarn comes in. So I'm still really excited about it and enjoy the pattern. But yeah, it's going to be, this little guy's going to be frogged. But I'm really excited about it. So I haven't lost steam on this, but it will be. It's ribbit, 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 frogs. Next thing, oh, this I will show you quickly. Again, we're back in Lane. It is going to be the Snowfield Cowl by Max the Knitter. You've seen it from last time's episode, and I have made some progress on it. Not a huge amount, but I've got about a repeat and a bit done. So, really enjoying this. I do need to concentrate on it, so it not like super closely, like I can have something on TV that I've maybe seen before while I go, but I'm still really enjoying it. But it does like take brain power, so I'm just like taking my time with it. As many lovely people who've commented have said, you know, I do need to take my time. I don't need to rush for the sake of having something to show you. So I'm plugging away at this. It's if you want to know all the details about it, it's in last week's episode, or not last week's, the last episode, where I go through the yarns and all that. But overall, really enjoying it. I have to do 4 repeats in total, so I've got 1 and a bit done, so we're getting there. I don't think I'll have it finished for the next episode because it's not... I'm doing it as I feel like I want to do it, when I'm actually in the mood for some colour work. You know, two-stranded colour work. So when I'm in the mood for it, I work on it, but I'm not forcing myself to work on it because it takes so much brain power. I don't want to like work on it for no reason and then hurt my head over it and then kind of resent it. So, you know, like the projects, they kind of become your children and you kind of like, oh, I'm getting really stressed out by that one, so I'm not going to work on it super hard. But I want to work on it when I like it so that I enjoy it, and then when it's done, I'm really happy about it. Plus, it's so... I mean, the weather has not been great in the UK, but it's not been cold enough for a quadruple thickness, double wrapped cowl. So I think I have the time to kind of relax and enjoy myself as I work on that. So that's the Snowfield by Max the Knitter, Max Monsieur, which I love. And then the last work in progress, which I need to run and grab. The last work in progress is in this bag. This is by, someone commented, this is by Belroy. They're not a company that makes knitting bags, they just make bags and wallets and stuff like that, and I use it as a knitting bag. So this is my sock. I always have like a work sock, so it's a sock that I bring with me to work on at work. And this is, I finished the first one, which I spoke about it in the previous episode. I think all 3 episodes now I've been working on this sock because it's just something I kind of tick away with as I feel. So this is the first one is done. I did quite a long cuff. This sock, there's no pattern. It's just a ribbed kind of vanilla sock. If anyone would be interested in a pattern in this sock, I'm sure I could do a pattern for it, but you know, it's just like a sock that fits everyone because it's ribbed. So that's the first one, which is done. Will I do my silly thing where I pull it on and I like pull my foot up to show you? Sure. Ugh, there you go. There it is. So that's the sock. So it fits really well. I love it. This is on 2.5mm needles, which is my first time using this size, up from 2.25 to see if it would still fit well. And it does. And so on the second sock, stuck to it. On the second sock, I'm just about done the cuff, so I'm about to do the heel. It's a heel flap and gusset, super standard, and then a Kitchener toe. And I'm doing on 9-inch circular needles. If you get that reference, you get that reference. These are by Addy, and they're great. I love them. I love them. So that's the sock that I'm working on every day. So I think I should probably be finished that by next episode. And then as much as I love this sock because it's like straight, like super easy because it's ribbing, it's also like ribbing. So my next sock, I want to do a toe up, just plain vanilla stockinette. I want a sock that I can just go. And I want to try the Fish Lips Kiss heel. I got that pattern to try that on the way up because the first toe up sock I ever did was short rows, German short row heel. So I'm going to try the Fish Lips Kiss heel, but that's further down the line. And then that's all that I've been working on. So I've got something done, something we're chugging away on, something to frog, and then my work sock, which I'm always working on. So the sock leads me into my only yarn acquisition, and you're probably a bit tired of hearing me talk about this yarn, but I do love it so much, so I'm going to grab it. So I got more of the same yarn that I'm using for the sock, and this is Garthenor Organic, and this is Pentland, which is the same wool that I'm using for yarn that I'm using for the sock. I got this for my boyfriend since he's kind of like a blue-gray kind of person. So it's another like that one, which is marled red and white. This is marled black and blue, or navy and blue for sure. Something quite dark with a blue. Because when I finished that first sock, he tried it on and it fit him. So I said, you know, let me get yarn that I know that you'll like and you'll wear. Because I think he does wear boots on occasion, so it might be nice to have a hardy sock to wear in boots. And then because I was on the website anyway, buying from Garthenor, I picked up their Snowdonia sock wool to try. So the Pentland isn't specifically a sock yarn, but this one is. So I really, really wanted to try it. This is the color, oh, I didn't tell you this color. This is in the shade Pacific, this guy. So this is Pentland in Pacific, and this is Idwal, I-D-W-A-L. Idwal. So this is technically, what weight is this? 4-ply? I think somewhere this said the Pentland was sport, but I would kind of class it as fingering, but then this is definitely classed as fingering, so it's 4-ply. So I'm pretty sure they're both 4-ply fingering. This one as well, it's a little bit softer. It's still definitely like toothy is the word I'd say, a rustic for sure, but I do like how this one is feeling, and I think this one will probably end up the exact same pattern as the socks I'm working on now, because I think this would be great for like boots as well, to wear in boots. So I might do toe up with this. I got 2 skeins of both, so I think I might do toe up with this, so that way you can finish the entire skein. You know, you just knit from the toe the whole way up, and when you run out and that's it. So yes, that is the Snowdonia sock. I'm super excited to try it, and I think it's super wonderful yarn. As you know, if you've watched any of these episodes, because I keep talking about Garthenor and how much I love them. Because I do. Okay, and then what else is left acquisitions-wise? Okay, so the only other thing I got was I found that I was struggling with row counters because I only had 2. And the more I knit, the more projects I'm taking on at the same time. So I got another row counter. This one is from Cocoknits, and it's like an unboxing because I've not opened it yet myself. So here we go. I'm going to open it together. I got these from the Lovelace Yarn Company, I believe. They're based in the UK, which is why I ordered from them. And I didn't order any yarn because I just needed the row counter and stitch markers, which I'll show you. But I will be ordering some yarn from them as soon as I can, because I've already found some I like. So this is it. Ooh, this is like a review. You're seeing a first impressions as I pull it out. I think most people just always use the same. They use the Clover or Cocoknits. This one has a lock Oh, there we go. Oh, that's a nice click. That's a nice click, you guys. There we go. So, because the snowfield pattern and the sea mist shawl both really need me to like keep track of my rows, I was like jumping between, I was using the same row counter for both and jumping between both, and it just really wasn't working. So I'm glad I got another one now so I can have one with each project. And then the last thing I got was more stitch markers, and these are just what I wanted. These are also from Cocoknits. These are precious, what are they called? Precious metal stitch markers. So these come in 3 styles. They come in a bulb style. If this focuses, I'll be very impressed by my new camera. They come in the bulb style. I don't know if you can tell. You can't see anything, but yeah, bulb style, and then just regular circles. And I wanted them because I wanted metal. I have plastic ones, and I think you'll get it if you start working with thinner yarns and smaller needles, that the plastic ones are too thick, and I could even, like, they're too thick to like maneuver over my needles. You feel like you're really having to move them and focus on moving them, or like you can see them, like some of them they're so thick they actually affect my knitting. So I wanted metal stitch markers, like super thin metal stitch markers, and these ones come in gold, silver and bronze in this little box. So I'm really, really happy with those. I've only looked at them for the first time with you here now, live. So I'm super excited about these because I think they will make a huge difference to my mental health as I knit. And yes, so that's another acquisition, not super interesting, but super important to have good tools when you're knitting. And then the last, I'm going to class this as an acquisition, but you might laugh, but I feel like it's something we need to talk about in the knitting community even more, because in our flat, and it was warm recently, you know, we had the windows open, and what happens at night when you have the windows open, things start flying around the flat, and I have just freaked out because I'm terrified of moths. I feel like they're coming for my knits. And so I freaked out and got a bunch of stuff and just like changed the whole way that I organize my knitting. So I have a plan of attack and I want to share it with you. If you have any knowledge or advice for moths and protecting your items from moths, please let me know. I want to know. I've heard, you know, you see things that like, oh, as long as it's stuff you use and you move it around, then it's fine. But then the other day I just like moved a piece of knitwear that I'd probably like worn or touched the previous day and a moth flew out of it. So I don't think, unless you're constantly moving something, the moths are, you know, they don't need a lot of time to kind of get in there. So I'm trying to like protect everything, protect my hard work and protect my precious stash. So the main thing I got is this. Yeah, not very cool or chic, but I just got Ziploc bags, and I will show you how I essentially store my meager stash. So this is my stash, and I'm not going to rattle it around, but basically I've gotten these Ziploc bags and just put a couple of skeins in it and just seal them away so that, you know, they're protected. This is actually keep calm and carry on. These are all just scraps, so I'm not really too concerned about them. And there's like, you probably can't hear, but there's a load of cedar in them, and I'll show you. So yeah, so I got these, which are like cedar balls to add into things. So I've got cedar and Ziploc bags, and so this is how I'm kind of storing my stash for the time being in this. This crate is from Hay. So yeah, so that's what I'm doing. I'm bagging up my skeins that haven't been knit. I've got cedar balls everywhere. I actually do have some spray if I see any flying around to kind of kill them. I have the kind of sticky pads I have them. I don't want to use them unless I really, really need to. But for now, that's kind of the actions that I'm taking. And then the last thing I'm doing is I have all my knits in a bin, just like just a storage bin, and I've got loads of cedar balls in there as well. But I think maybe this weekend or soon I'm going to wash everything. So like just rewash everything with some wool soak, and then get them dry, and then vacuum pack them and just leave them for till the winter, so that I know they're protected and I know they're fine, because I don't think we had anything throughout the winter. But yeah, just in the last, when it's heated up and gotten warmer and we've got the windows open, things are flying in, and I just want to be super, super careful that I don't get my heart broken for my beloved knits. So that is the plan of attack. I will keep you guys updated. As I said, any advice that you might have that's worked or that hasn't worked for you, please drop it in the comments. Let's share knowledge, because, you know, we want to protect our hard work and our craft. So yeah. And the last thing I wanted to just like quickly shout out is a knitting podcast that I've been watching. Well, I've been watching for a while. It's the lovely Laura from the Knitting Pickle, and I had to shout her out because, I mean, she shouted me out. I watched her before she shouted me out, but she very kindly recommended me in one of the recent episodes of her podcast, and she's so fantastic. I think if you like me, you'll like her. And she's one of those people that, like, I know we'll get along, because I believe we'll meet in the future if we continue on our knitting journeys. I'm sure we'll cross paths in the UK and go on a yarn crawl or something. But I immediately clicked with her like vibe and her energy and her like positive attitude when it comes to knitting. So definitely go give her a check out if you like what I do and the silliness that I go for. Then you'll enjoy her positive, wonderful knitting as well. Can't recommend her enough. If you come to me to look for, you know, patterns for men, she's great because she has 2 beautiful children and she knits for them all the time. So go check her out for that. And she started designing as well. So yeah, if you you know, if you're working on your project, watching this podcast, and you need to jump onto another one, definitely check out Laura at the Knitting Pickle. Can't recommend her enough. So that's more or less it. That is not more or less it. That is it. Thank you so much for joining me and sticking this far. As always, please let me know what you're working on while you're watching this episode, or what you're working on in general. I love to know. There's a lot of ranunculuses going on in the comments at the moment, which I find very interesting. And the more people recommend it and the more I hear it talked about, the more I think, will I knit one and gift it to someone in my life who would love to wear a beautiful ranunculus? It's not my style, but I'm sure I have wonderful people who would love it. Let's see how my lace goes on the rest of the Sea Mist shawl, and then I'll see if I want to like try a ranunculus, because I know it's like a one skein wonder, so we'll see what happens with that. My boyfriend is going away for 3 weeks, so I've been doing these episodes about 3 weeks apart. And so I have no boyfriend, so what am I going to do with all my free time? I'm going to be knitting. So next episode I should have lots to talk about. I also went a bit crazy buying yarn for exciting things. So I think next episode, which will be about 3 weeks, I'll have a lot to talk about, a lot to share. As regards hopefully finished objects and yarn acquisitions, and definitely some plans, because, you know, we're at coming up to the beginning of July now, so we need to start planning for winter. It's the second half of the year. So yeah, thank you so much for joining. I hope you enjoyed the new camera. I'm still figuring it out, so let's figure it out together and see how we get on. It's great. I'm enjoying it. Thank you so much, guys, as always, for watching and commenting. It fills my heart with so much joy to have this wonderful community getting together and chatting and sharing. So please like and comment and subscribe if you want to keep seeing it. I also have my Instagram and my Ravelry, so please join those, follow those. I don't really post a huge amount on Instagram or on Ravelry. I will get better, but I am thinking of putting together a website, a newsletter, if you guys would be interested in that. And then the only other things is any suggestions you'd like to see. I know people want to see my notebook that I keep all my notes in and my knitting pieces and swatches. So if you are interested in that, let me know and I will definitely shoot some of that. Or if there's anything else you want to see, let me know. I'm open to suggestions. It's this podcast is not mine, it's ours. So feel free to comment and let me know what you're up to. Thanks a million, guys. Take care, stay safe, and I will see you next time.